Kia ora. Hi, thank you, Morgan, for coming today. Um,
Thank you.
can we just start this Innovate and Educate with a little bit of background about what you do?
Sure. So I am a primary school teacher, currently teaching at Milford School as their STEM specialist teacher. So I teach every group in the school from years 1 to 6, and we just focus on STEM. So sort of like classroom release for their main teachers, and I have them for that period. And I also have a sort of social media platform that I started a few years ago that's called STEM with M. And I really just started sharing science experiments and ideas online. Actually started during lockdown time, because as we made that transition to online learning, I found I was making videos for students, and I thought, why not just kind of test putting these out on social
Mm.
media? So started putting them out on there, and they did quite well. And so since that time, I've kind of maintained, creating these videos for social media as well as teaching. Yeah.
And also on what now?
Yes, yeah, I was on what now? That was sort of like a bucket list moment. I got gunged, and it
Winning.
was so good. Yeah, so it coincided with Halloween, which was perfect. So I just sort of did some little simple, fun Halloween experiments that kids could try at home. So yeah, that was a very cool moment.
Oh, that's awesome. I was just watching that this morning, actually. So, what did you train as a teacher? Just
So I did a Bachelor of Education at Auckland University. And I also, during that time, I did an exchange to Hong Kong University. I was actually one of the first students to ever do that because training and teaching, you have to do your full 3 years training to sort of register for with the teaching council. So I did an additional 6 months at Hong Kong University where I did some education papers over there, which was really, really great and such an
wow.
awesome experience. Did some tutoring in a local school and things. So yeah, that's sort of how I started. And then from there, I got my first teaching job in year 1. So I did my 2 years registration at year 1, and then I moved up to year 5 and 6. In a BYOD environment. And that's sort of where I started to get passionate about using digital technologies and STEM in education. So the kids were bringing their devices, and I sort of had to look at how am I being responsive to this? I don't just want digital worksheets for these kids. How can we use them to be creative and, get them creating things rather than just consuming content on their
Yeah,
devices?
absolutely. Yeah, that's a definite drive, isn't it?
Yeah,
Not just be a consumer, but be a creator in
yeah,
that space as
totally.
well. And what challenges do you find you have with teaching STEM?
Um, Good
If you have
question.
any.
I think, yeah, I do. I did, especially initially. So I haven't always been in the classroom teaching. I sort of jumped in and out. So I had a period where I worked for Microsoft as a teacher ambassador. So I used to provide professional learning to teachers around New Zealand on using Office 365, like Minecraft, OneNote, and things like that.
Yeah.
Um, and then I went back to the classroom, and then I jumped out again and went to work for the warehouse group. And so I was sort of their STEAM robotics specialist at that time. So that's where I got passionate about it, about robotics and STEAM and things like that. So when I saw the teaching opportunity to be a STEM specialist, I sort of applied and got it, which was really exciting. But my challenge was I was really confident with the digital technologies and the STEM, but the science part, I was like,
Mm.
oh. So,
Yeah.
as a primary teacher, we sort of, have to teach everything. And I, of course, had taught science and, but I'd never really gone deep into the science curriculum. And so that was a sort of challenge for me in the beginning was it was really just up to me to upskill myself. And that's where creating the STEM with M platform was actually a form of my own professional development because I was at home, I was trying experiments, I was learning things that I'd forgotten that I learned when I was, in third form or fourth
Yeah.
form, things like that, science concepts. And so, yeah, that really helped me to kind of upskill myself. And then I could go to school with the knowledge, prepped myself and then could then go through it with the kids.
Yeah. Because I know I teach STEM. I have a focus in STEM and I'm doing a lot of study in that as well. And I know other teachers that teach it, some of the hurdles that they talk about is, I'm not a science teacher or I don't know engineering or I'm not maths. And so you don't feel that confident to teach across all of those areas. I
Absolutely.
think is a bit of a barrier. So yeah, I mean, obviously you've done a lot of your own learning around that to
Sure,
sort of
sure.
to overcome, but I definitely see that as a bit of a barrier for some people that out of
100%.
your comfort zone a little bit.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think we're really lucky here too because there are organizations that do offer experts in those areas that you can get to come into your classroom. I'm just thinking I was part of the Wonder Project a few years ago where we had the engineer come in once a
Yeah.
week to work with the kids. And so that was amazing. And it also gives you as the teacher a chance to upskill and learn from the engineers so
Yeah.
that the next year when it rolls around, you feel that little bit more confident to run it in your own
Yeah.
class.
It's kind of taking that leap of faith, and just being like, maybe I don't know, but I will figure
Yeah,
it out and I'll learn.
absolutely. It's
And
like uncomfortable being in that learner position. But I think it's a good chance too to model with the kids, like I'm a learner too, we're learning together. I don't have all the answers. And I
yeah,
think they respect that as well. They don't expect you to have all the answers, but it's like, okay, how can we find this out together? What
yeah.
steps are we going to take?
And so you must have a bunch of very excited kids in your classes. What's the biggest impact you think you've seen with any of your kids in your STEM classes?
Um, oh gosh, so many kind of different
Yeah.
aspects. I think the thing that I love that gets me really excited is when the kids say, like, I went home and I told mum or dad, or I went home and I found vinegar and baking soda and we did this at home. I just think that's so amazing to see the impact, it's just the way it just filters out and spreads beyond the classroom into homes, into the community. The kids come in, I did a beach cleanup and collected all this rubbish on the weekend. I think that is so powerful and really exciting, but also I just love that they're excited. I love, they're excited to come and learn, what are we doing today? And that excitement is just so cool. Yeah, it's just so rewarding, I think. And it like really encapsulates to me why I teach is just for those exact reasons. They
Yeah.
kind of outweigh the other sort of, the difficult times or the admin and things that can be quite tedious. So
Yeah.
those things really just, that's what it's all about.
Yeah. And what would your advice be to any teachers that wanted to do more STEM in their classes?
Yeah, so I think you just give it a go. Like we are saying, don't let your perceived sort of lack of knowledge or anything like that hold you back. There are so many resources out there, like
Mm.
Wonder Project, or Young Ocean Explorers. They have these incredible lesson plans for ocean and things like that. So sort of reach out and lean on people, lean on experts to come in. And I think we do have a lot of great resources online, Science Learning Hub, and all those sorts of things that you can draw on. And I think once you start and, the kids, you see their excitement, it just kind of builds from there.
Yeah.
So I think just give it a go. And if you fail, the
Yeah.
kids don't care. You all learn together.
Yeah,
Try
and
it,
that's the key thing, is making mistakes is okay, and that's a real sort of technology curriculum type thing.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and like it's okay
absolutely.
to make mistakes. In fact, you need to
Debugging.
make
Yeah.
mistakes so that you can learn from it. So definitely, when the kids realise that you make mistakes too, and we're not the fountain of all knowledge, which they think
For
we are.
sure. Yeah, for sure. And like for me, I'm not great at coding and I use Hour of Code a lot for, helping the kids with code. And there's the kid in the class is the expert at that point because, I have no idea, I
Yeah,
don't know how to solve this one. So, it's amazing to see what the kids do know and they bring a lot of knowledge and strengths in these kinds of areas as well that we can draw on.
yeah. I found that with Minecraft. So I'd have Minecraft in my
Oh,
class.
totally.
And at one point, I managed to dig a hole in Minecraft, but I couldn't get out because I didn't know how to do it. And they thought it was hilarious. They left me in this hole for the whole lesson.
I love it.
They're all running around in Minecraft doing stuff.
That's
It was,
amazing.
it was a real wake up call then. I can tell
Yeah.
you.
Absolutely. That's so relatable. And I think, yeah, it's cool to be in that learner position. And it's cool for the kids to see us in that position as well.
Yeah, definitely. So, where do you envision your STEM with M going? Like, are you going to stay in the classroom or are you going to go back out again? What's your plans?
Yeah, that's a good
Inspire
question.
us.
So, at the moment, I'm loving being in the classroom. I'm lucky I'm in a position at the moment, I'm only teaching zero point 0.8. So, I do have that one day sort of flexibility where I can dedicate to, filming or STEM with them as well. So, at the moment, I'm really happy with that. And I think being in the classroom as well, it gives me that experience to be able to share things online as well. Sort of, I don't want to use the word credibility, but you know what I mean. It's like you do understand the practicalities of being in the classroom, what's possible, what's
Yeah,
not. So
definitely.
having that experience too is really good. I yes, so I just want to keep sharing experiments and ideas, and along the way, some really exciting partnerships do pop up as well, which is really cool. I am heading down to Wellington in a couple of weeks to spend a few days at Zealandia, learning all about the environment and the birds and the insects and creatures there. So that will be really exciting. So I would love to keep that sort of relationship. I've worked with Sea Life Kelly Tarletons as well, so keeping those partnerships running as well is amazing learning for me, and then I can take that back to the classroom or share it online.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds amazing. How exciting. My last question for you is there's a lot of like look and study into engagement of girls in the
Sure.
STEM industry. What's your thoughts on that one? And is there anything that we can be doing to help these young girls look at
Yeah,
STEM?
yeah, absolutely. I think I've been very lucky in like the organizations and different workplaces I've been in. They've always had dedicated spaces for girls or women to share their voice or have experience of these things. And I think in schools, I noticed that the girls are right in there and hands-on and pushing for these opportunities. So I think that's quite exciting. I don't know if it's just I'm in sort of in an isolated position with that, or if it's kind of happening more and more widely. But I think I see, coming, for example, Microsoft or things, they have these dedicated coding or events for girls in STEM or, girls in these robotic spaces. And I think just encouraging it and girls seeing women as scientists, Love Nano Girl and, all these different scientists that we see in the media and things. I think that's really great to see girls, what they can aspire to and these women accomplishing really amazing things. Riley, Young Ocean Explorers, who started so young
Yeah.
and is such a big advocate for our moana, which is so cool. So I think that's really great for girls to see themselves what's
Well,
possible.
and you are definitely in that same category. You know that, right? You're definitely in that category. Like, I'm not surprised the girls in your class are inspired and want to learn because you would be an
Oh.
amazing teacher to have. Like, what an incredible role model that you're being.
Oh, thank
That
you.
it's really good. So that's great. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
That was really, really great to talk to you. You're very inspiring. We'd love to have you at our TENS conference, which would be
Oh,
amazing
amazing.
in the beginning of October. So, yeah, thanks for your time.
Thank you.